Welcome back for another video. What are the best FPL managers of all time doing this week for Gameweek 18? It's a packed one this week. There's a ton of transfers made. There's chips flying left, right and centre. Let's break it all down. You'll recall last week Jamie McDonald was having an all-timer season. He had just broken top 100 in the world. He finished on 75 points last game. That was a small red arrow to 156th in the world. And this week is his final chip. He's got the wildcard active and he shared his team with us, which we'll look at shortly. Can he break back into the top 100 in the world though? Incredible squad management to make it this long without using the wildcard, let alone at that rank. He does have a few flags in FPL now, so it's just as well he's still got the chip. Well done if you managed to beat the average expert score, which was 81 points. The global average was 66. For Gameweek 18, only 2 managers are rolling, 15% are making 1 transfer. Absolutely tons of transfers this week. 34% are making 2 moves, 35% making 3, and 9% are making 4 or more transfers. There's lots of hits this week even. 8 managers are taking a -4, 2 managers are taking a -8 to fix their teams. And further to that, 5% have got a wildcard or a free hit active for unlimited transfers. Hundreds of transfers made. Who are the best managers buying and selling this week? You can probably predict a few of the top names on each side. The most bought players are Ekitike and Cunha. But look at that though, 80% are buying the Liverpool striker. He's shot up from barely owned at all by any of them to 92% owned among the top all-timers, compared to just 29% overall. Cunha is the other heavily bought player. 58% are buying the Man United mid. And therefore it's Bruno and Thiago that are the most sold. 71% selling Bruno after that injury, 49% selling Thiago. It could be around a month until we next see Bruno playing. And in Thiago's case, he's just not been anywhere near scoring the last couple of games. They do have 3 home games in their next 4 though, so they're not as decisive on Thiago. He is still 45% owned among them, which is high. And that's higher than the global average ownership. So make no mistake, despite the heavy sales, Thiago is actually still a player that they like currently. One more blank could change that fast though. Wirtz and Keane are also being heavily bought, 18% each. Liverpool's next 5 fixtures surely promise loads of goals. And Ekitike isn't that easy to get for a lot of managers. Especially if you've got, Bruno and 1 free transfer for example, then it's a -4. Or maybe you don't want to sacrifice someone like Voltemada or Thiago to get Ekitike. Bruno to Wirtz is a popular move as well. Home games against Wolves and Leeds and Burnley in their next 5 game weeks. And we're talking 3 of the 4 worst defences in the league this season, whether that's expected goals conceded or actual goals conceded. They're 3 of the bottom 4. The other one there that they don't play is West Ham. Keane provides a nice route into Everton's defence for cheap, and he's got Burnley next. There is a chance we see Branthwaite back in the starting 11 in around a month's time, so that's the only thing there. Tarkowski's being bought by 4% instead. He's the totally nailed one longer term, but he does cost a lot more and he is on 4 yellows, so both options have got pros and cons basically. Players need to avoid a 5th yellow in their first 19 games to avoid suspension. The main names in terms of ownership that are treading the line on 4 yellows are Semenyo, Van der Ven, Bruno G, Cash, Porro, Donnarumma, Tarkowski and Xhaka. Lafay and Potts are the 2 cheap enablers popping up here for combination moves like Bruno down to one of them and then maybe Gu up to Ekitike. No one's essential in FPL, I should caveat that. Like even Haaland technically. One of the experts, for example, Stuart, is doing a no Haaland challenge for fun and he's finished top 10k 3 times before. And he's hovering around top 100k with no Haaland or Salah all season, which is an unbelievable rank at this stage, especially in that context. So the point I'm trying to make is that although Ekitike is the real hype pick this week, he's not essential. In fact, you'll see in Tom Dollimo's team selection and tomorrow, the number 1 all-time manager, he's not going there, despite having 3 free transfers and easily could. That might reassure some of you just to play devil's advocate on Ekitike. Like Tom, for example, is perfectly happy just going for Wirtz. Let's take a look at chips and some teams as well. 2% of wildcarded this week, 3% of free hit and 6% of bench boost. So almost all the chips used up at this stage. And Gameweek 19 is your last opportunity to use any chips you've got left or you're going to lose them. After that point we will get topped up to 1 of every chip again. So yeah, Jamie McDonald peaked at 69th in the world a couple of game weeks ago and he's just wildcarded. He's gone with Kelleher, Van Dijk, Keane, Calafiori, O'Reilly, Saka, Foden, Cunha, Wirtz, Ekitike and Haaland. And on the bench it's Valdemarson, Alderete, Anderson from Forest and Obi. Red arrow this week, which was expected. Following all the events in Gameweek 17, it seems like I got lucky with the wildcard timing. The following are all locks for me: O'Reilly, Saka, Foden, Cunha, Haaland, Ekitike. I was originally leaning towards Rice over Saka, but after the Bruno injury, I like holding Saka, at the very least as a placeholder for Bruno's return. An Arsenal defender is a must, and I'm happy to keep taking the gamble on the cheaper Calafiori's reduced minutes over Timber. Virgil is in as a placeholder for Gabriel once he returns, and I've lined up for that transfer in Gameweek 20 or 21. Everton have got great fixtures. Ideally, I'd like to get Pickford or Tarkowski, but it sounds like Branthwaite is still a little while off, so I'm happy going for Keane and hoping that he gets the next 4 or 5 games at least. Alderete is my 4 mil defender, and I've gone for Keller as my budget keeper. I'm tempted to pair him with the 4 mil John Victor from Forest and hope that he keeps his place over Sells. I've had Elliot Anderson all season, and I'm leaning towards keeping as my 4th or 5th midfielder depending on which draft I go with. So my final decision, which I'm unsure about, is Bowen and a 4.4 mil defender, or Wirtz and a 4.2 mil striker. I'm currently 50-50 between 2 drafts, and I've got no idea which way to go. As mentioned, I've got Virgil to Gabriel lined up in 20 or 21, which I could make in one move if I go for the Bowen draft, whereas the Wirtz draft could require a second transfer, which would probably be Wirtz down to Rodgers or someone else at that price point. I really like the idea of Wirtz for the next 2 games, Wolves and Leeds at home, and he owes me after I held him for Gameweek 1 to 5 for a grand total of 10 points. However, my head is saying Bowen is the more sensible play. Decision will likely come down to the wire. Whichever route I choose, I'd ideally like to build up to 3 or 4 transfers at Gameweek 22. It feels like a good point to jump on Chelsea for their nice fixture run. Best of luck, Jamie, getting back in the top 100. FPL Spoon or Mark has activated his bench boost, and his team is Raya, Anderson, O'Reilly, Van Dijk, Foden, Semenyo, Saka, Rice, Ekitike, Thiago and Haaland. So the bench is Dubravka, Miley, Senesi and Gudmundsson. Bench boost is active after making 3 free transfers last night of Raul to Ekitike, Bruno to Rice and Dewsbury Hall to Miley. The plan has been to play the bench boost in Gameweek 18 due to the fixtures falling best on paper for Dubravka and Gudmundsson for the first time in a while, and also Dewsbury Hall before he got injured. Pre-Gameweek 18, the plan was to move Dewsbury Hall to Xhaka or Lefebvre of 1 free transfer and roll the other 2, but with Ekitike hitting form and looking nailed after Isak's injury, and Bruno picking up an injury nobody could plan for or expect, I've used the funds from Bruno to Rice to upgrade Raul to Ekitike. This left 4.7 mil in the bank, and with the options being limited, I went with Miley, who's been playing well, and he should have a good chance of DEFCON versus Man United if he plays right back again. Following that, he'll be sitting deep on the bench. Let's do one more quickly. So what's the best team for Gameweek 18? Sticky FPL has activated his free hit, and he's lined up as follows. Pickford in goal, a back 4 of Van Dijk, Keane, Tarkowski and Calafiori. In midfield it's Saka, Cunha, Wirtz, and up front it's Bowen, Haaland, Captain and Ekitike. Recently, my FPL mantra has been to target the teams playing Wolves and Burnley each week, the 2 teams looking like the weakest in the division. This week that's Liverpool and Everton, and I have no representation for them in my current squad. Meanwhile, my Chelsea, Brighton and Brentford players all have lower potential fixtures, and so I'll be deploying the free hit. The core will be made up of Van Dijk, although I'll be monitoring to see if Frimpong is expected to play right back, among other absences, plus Wirtz and Ekitike, both of whose minutes suddenly look very secure in an improving Liverpool attack. From Everton, it's all about the defence with clean sheet, DEFCON and set piece potential, so my current bold strategy is to triple up on Pickford, Tarkowski and Keane. This is the kind of risk you can take on a free hit as a one-off to aim for maximum gains. Just look at how it worked out for Brentford defenders last week. My defence is going to be rounded off by Arsenal, most likely Calafiori, to chase some attack and upside. If I'm feeling less bold come Boxing Day, I might replace the 3rd Everton defender with a 2nd Arsenal one too. There's a range of exciting attacking options this week, but they come at a premium, hence budget is pushing me to a 4-3-3. Cunha should take over as the focal point of Man United's attack after Bruno's injury, and I quite fancy a punt on Bowen, who remains the talisman for a West Ham side who are going to be desperate to get something at home. Foden is lurking if I opt to switch out either, but I currently don't mind too much betting against him for 1 week away to Forest. It's just Haaland who's going to be captain, and Saka, who I expect to take the next penalty in a rotation with Gyökeres, remained from my usual team. Merry Christmas all. Best of luck with the chips guys, thanks for sending in to us. That brings us to captaincy next. Is anyone tempted by that Liverpool game for captaincy? This week, 84% of the experts are going Haaland, 15% Ekitike, and 1% Wirtz. I mentioned in a video this week that Pep averages just under 3 goals per game whenever he's faced a Dyche side. He's never lost against them, 16 wins, 2 draws. First time facing Dyche's Forest, however, so who knows. No one has conceded more than Wolves' 37 goals this season though, so there is a case for a Liverpool attacker for captaincy. FPL review projections have got it really close this week, and it does very much depend on minutes. Haaland's on 6.7 points with 89 minutes, Wirtz 6.2, Ekitike 5.9 based on 80 minutes. If we go 89 minutes for Ekitike, that nudges him up to 6.4 points. Ultimately, he's a great option for captaincy. He is unlikely to be on penalties, you'd say, like with Salah away, Szoboszlai suspended. He's got a chance, but it's probably going to be McAllister. Are any of you not captaining Haaland? Let us know in the comments what your plan is. So, what's the top all-time managers template team with all those moves in mind? It's a 4-4-2. It's Raya in goal. It's Anderson, O'Reilly, Timber and Van Dijk in defence. It's Foden, Cunha, Saka and Anderson in midfield. And it's Ekitike and Haaland up front. So the bench is Dubravka and Minte, Rodon and Gu. Semenyo and Thiago do remain very highly owned, but we've got to keep the team within budget. They're 46 and 45% owned still, so they are still very popular assets. Of course, Semenyo's been heavily linked with Man City, so he could be a sell in the near future. Maybe he could be a good option there, but you never know about minutes at Man City. It was a shame to see Timber playing the full match as well in the League Cup against Palace, as Arsenal edged through on penalties. There's just no depth there right now on right back. Mosquera's out, White's out. It is 4 days until Arsenal next play, which isn't so bad in terms of a turnaround, but from Gameweek 18 and that deadline onwards, we're in the busiest part of the season. There's 4 deadlines in 11 days. You could make the case for starting Rodon here with Sunderland away over Anderson. That might be a cagey game, maybe that ends up like a 0-0 sort of match. Anderson, you think, has got a very good chance of DEFCON though, so yeah, take your pick. Ekitike flies up to 92% ownership among the top all-timers. Saka drops down to 66% and Cunha just behind at 65%. Final thoughts and tips. Here's what the top all-timers wanted to say to you. Harry Tennant says, Saka out is a risky play that could backfire, and I could otherwise have tweaked differently, but I feel like I need to make some aggressive moves, so my rank has been slipping. Patience less rewarded than attacking strong fixtures, it seems. Alex Mason says, these price rises and falls are crazy. I was priced out of some of my preferred moves earlier in the week, as I've never liked moving too early, which was confirmed when news like the Bruno injury comes about, whilst the game week is still going on. It's hard to look past bringing in Ekitike now. He's on brilliant form, and his place is all but guaranteed with the Isak injury news. Bring on the Boxing Day, mainly 27th fixture madness. Merry Christmas everyone. FPL Analyst says, chaos over Christmas and quick turnaround of games. It's the best time of the year, and that's why we love FPL. Charlie says, note to self, don't make early transfers before all the matches are played. I used my 2 free transfers to bring in Ekitike and Keane, and then Bruno got injured. I'm considering taking a -4 hit for Cunha, depending on what comes out of United's press conference. The Doc FPL took a more measured approach. I knew that I 100% wanted Ekitike. I had to sell Saka to get him, but I decided to wait a day and lose 0.1 million for more info. Next day, Bruno injured, Saka stays. 19th season playing FPL, and team value has always been horrible, but I'm happy with the ranks. More often than not, information over value. And lastly, Carl Smith says, Merry Christmas, you filthy FPL animals. Have a great Christmas, everyone. Tom's going to be back with his team selection on Christmas Day, his transfers made and his team for Gameweek 18, and then I'll be live on Boxing Day for the deadline as usual. Good luck all and see you soon for the next one.